Hello again, I am Blunty, and this is a video I kind of had to make. I've literally just finished watching Star Trek Renegades, and this isn't a review by any means, because like I just said, I've just finished watching it. This is my first impressions off the top of my head kind of thing. I was typing stuff into Twitter, and I went post after post after post after post, and I went, you know what, if you're queuing up 7 Twitter posts, then maybe you've got more to say than Twitter is appropriate for, so make a video instead, Blunty. So this is what I'm doing. Star Trek Renegades is a Kickstarter-backed, not quite fan film, but not quite official. It has kind of the official blessing of Paramount, but it's not produced by them, and it's got several cast members from other Trek shows in it and running it and directing it. And Tim Russ, who played Tuvok in Voyager, for example, directed the whole thing, and he's also in it as Tuvok. And but I gotta tell you, it is a bit of a mess. The whole thing. It's got sort of some production values and cast members you'd think would be in big budget impressive stuff who know how to do things, and then there's huge chunks of it that come off as just the most horrible, awkward, badly delivered fan film. Just fanfic. Someone in their backyard with a camcorder could have done parts of this film. My eyes started to hurt from the amount of eye rolling. I mean, literally, every 3 minutes or so, someone would deliver a line, and the delivery would either be just awful, or the line itself would be just so beyond ridiculously cliche, or just a trope, and it's just ugh, just ugh, ugh, ugh. That noise sounded slightly ambiguous as to its meaning, but it's an eye-rolly noise I'm trying to act. The concept is actually really neat. The idea behind the show, and again, I'm not going to run through it all, but basically it's Star Trek Renegades. It's about a renegade crew, and there's a bunch of secretive bad guys working behind the scenes at either Starfleet or the Federation, and they've got to hire people from, get in people from outside of Starfleet to try and to find out what it's big. It's actually kind of a mess. When I try and say it out loud, and it's delivered as kind of a mess as well. It's really not very well edited. There are countless, inexplicably tight close-ups of character faces for no reason. They're not saying or doing anything dramatic. They're not reacting to anything. They're just delivering a line pretty straight, and all of a sudden the camera is poof, right there on them. And sometimes the camera work is so bad the people aren't framed up properly at all. It's kind of the top of the heads are chopped off, or it's framed up sort of here and stuff. And I'm trying to emulate some of the shots because I'm filming this in 4K but delivering it to you in 1080p, so I can try and emulate some of these close-up shots for the sake of communicating the idea of just how stupid these shots look mixed in. And it's not a shot you're used to seeing in any Star Trek show. Star Trek shows are shot very reasonably traditionally, and maybe they just wanted to break outside of that box, or maybe the director of photography has no fucking idea what he's doing. I'm not sure what the answer is, but either way, the blame has to go somewhere. Director of photography is the likely candidate. Also, Tim Russ for not slapping him in the back of the head and going, "What the fuck are you doing? We don't need to be that tight. What are you doing? What are you doing? That looks ridiculous. It's distracting. It's crashing the suspension of disbelief when you're just up here on the character." And there's a shot where a character is reacting to something someone else is doing, and the frames up sort of here on their eyes, and they're going, and all of a sudden the camera pans down to their mouth, and you're thinking, well, they're about to deliver a line, but they don't. The camera just pans down to their mouth for no particular reason, and then pans the way back up, and then there's a cut. And then there are some scenes that are cut into the movie that don't feel like they fit anywhere. They're just, shit, we forgot. There's like 20 seconds worth of exposition we have to slam in here somewhere. Where can we put it? Oh, we'll put it there, that's fine. It doesn't make sense chronologically. It's a bit hap-handed. You kind of, you're in space, you're on a ship, and all of a sudden you're sitting on a park bench. There's no setup. There's no establishing shot for it, really. And it's the editing on this film is horrible. Horrible. And back to the acting. About 50% of the main cast, the people who actually get lines and stuff, about 50% of those people are there because, I don't know, they're friends of the production company or something. They're some of Tim Russ's mates or something that can't actually act. But a lot of the lines are delivered really, really badly. And it's not helped by the sloppy editing. The top and tail of those lines, you can see the actors aren't acting, they're just blah, blah, blah. Oh, it's my turn to say my line. My line. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, it's my turn to say my line again. My line, my line, my line. My line. It is. I don't know where the blame goes on everybody. There's bad acting, bad writing, bad directing, believe it or not, from Tim Russ. I don't know whether he didn't have anyone standing behind him as backup going, Tim, maybe that's the wrong choice. But the other 50% of the cast are at least competent, and about 10% of that 50% are actually quite good. No prizes for guessing which are the good ones. Those would be the actors who have existing professional careers. You've seen them in TV and movies before. And their good acting just shines a harsher light on all the other bad acting. If it was all bad acting, you go, ha ha ha, so cheesy. But the concept is good. But when you've got the good acting mixed in with the bad acting, it just goes, wow, those bad actors are really quite bad. Just by contrast. You shouldn't put them in the same scene as this other person because they may never work again. The whole movie is filled with just tropes and cliches and really cheesy one-liners that have just been forced in there to be cheesy one-liners. It's like someone was writing a parody of an 80s action movie or something with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. They're just these one-liners thrown in for no apparent reason. They're just a character, for instance, who has said nothing all scene long, has just been milling about in the background doing a bit of business or something, suddenly looms into a light and goes, my line. And just it's something cheesy and ridiculous and so awful, and it was painful, and it's an eye-rolly moment. Honest to God, there are significant portions of this film that really do feel like a 14-year-old's fanfic has just been handed to these actors and read aloud with no one around to edit the script before it gets into their hands. And in the editing room, they've got told, well, we shot all this footage, you have to use all this footage, don't throw anything away. It doesn't matter how cheesily it comes off, it doesn't matter how awkwardly it slams into the scene, it doesn't matter if it grinds the whole thing to a screeching, catastrophic halt. We shot it, you have to put it in there. Put the scene in there. We don't have an alternate take. We don't have that kind of budget. We didn't do any alternate takes. It was all just one, just put it in, it'll be right, it'll be fine. And then alongside all these, ranging from terrible to excellent actors are people who are not actors but are on TV and are well known for being nerds. So why not put them in a Star Trek movie as well? Yes, Grant Imahara, the robot guy from Mythbusters, who I like. I like Grant. I enjoyed his work on Mythbusters very much, but he cannot act. Oh, no, he cannot act. It was just ridiculous. And he was really badly lit as well, so he looked fucking horrible. It looks like they lit him from like beneath or something. Everything's just shadows over his eyes, and there was no reason for him to be lit that badly in the scene he was in, which he was standing in front of a brightly lit holographic projection screen thingy. It's just... Anyway, and of course this is a sci-fi film, so you've got the special effects, which, just like the actors, range from, wow, that's actually pretty impressive. Most of the ship stuff is really cool. It's all wonderfully lit and lovely details, and it doesn't look out of place, and they move nice, and, there's some nice camera angles in the space battle-y bits, and whoosh, 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 and it's all looking pretty cool. And then there are other bits where there are sort of effects from a mysterious device thing that has it emits sort of an energy field thing, and that just looks awful. And I'm talking... awful for the first season of Star Trek Enterprise. Remember how cheesy those effects were? Character makeup, the creature makeup is... some of it's really good. Some of it is kind of 1969 Planet of the Apes kind of bad. Wait, was that 1969 or was that 72? Anyway, the first Planet of the Apes movies with the rubber faces. Blah, 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 blah. Dr. Zayas. Blah, blah, blah. That kind of bad. And then there's the visual effects for stuff that shouldn't have been visually affected. Like there's a Borg, a freed Borg, who we've met before in Voyager, in the later seasons of Voyager, which kind of fell apart a bit when the 3 freed Borg children came in. Anyway, one of those guys is grown up now, and he's got this special robot arm that magically transforms into a gun, and an arm, and a shield, and a sword, because that's cool. Anyway, all of that is CG, and they've motion tracked it onto his arms. So there's a bunch of scenes nearing the climax of the film where he's running through a bunch of tunnels and stuff, and his arms changing, doing things, and you can see his sleeve is moving in a different direction than the arm is moving. I mean, it tracks, and it looks, and it's lit all right, but the motion tracking is really, really distracting, and all you can do is stare at the arm. Everything else is going on around the scene, and you're staring at this arm thinking, that looks really bad. They should have just built a fucking prop to stick on his arm. Why? I mean, there's scenes when he's walking around wearing the arm, and he's got a little heads-up display holographic projector thing on it. As the arm isn't transforming, it's not doing anything. It's just, you could have just built a plastic arm for him to stick his hand in, and then computer generated the screen thing. Because if the screen wasn't tracking properly, that would look fine. It would look appropriate for a screen that's supposed to be floating. But the arm is just sort of wibbling around composited over his real arm, and it looks really bad, and it's horribly distracting. All you can do is think about how bad that arm looks. Then there is the techno-babble, which is something that every Star Trek show should have. It should have wonderful, wonderful techno-babble. Fans of the series love the techno-babble, and this is not good. It is complete nonsensical. It sounds like the kind of techno-babble people make up when they're trying to parody Star Trek. I mean, the more recent Star Trek shows in particular, not so much the first original show, but, you know, Next Gen and Voyager and Deep Space Nine and even Enterprise, the technobabble in that, they've tried to sort of ground it to make it feel like it's continuous and it makes sense within the lore of the universe, and the canon and everything, and they try to, you know, but this, I think they just had a hat with little strips of paper on it with things like proton torpedoes and quark particles and, you know, all that technobabble stuff, and they just, every time they needed to say something technobabbly, they just reach in the hat, go blah, 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 this one and this one and this one, we'll just slam them together. Doesn't matter whether they make sense or not, it's just technobabble. Who's gonna notice? Well, the extremely nerdy crowd that loves Star Trek is gonna notice for a start. That said, Star Trek fans, I feel like, are going to be very forgiving for this. They're not going to rip it apart, and I count myself amongst Star Trek fans. I'm not super hardcore. I don't own a communicator pin, for example. I mean, this is the only bit of Star Trek merchandise I've got, and even it is unofficial, I think. But I do own, you know, the DVDs and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, I'm not super hardcore, but I do love Star Trek. I'm passionate about it. But, you know, the super hardcore ones, the ones who have Leonard Nimoy tattooed on their backs and things like that, they're I feel like they're going to be quite forgiving, and they're going to treat it a little more kindly than they should, just in the hopes that if they say enough good things about it, that it will actually get a proper budget and be funded and be produced by Paramount or under the umbrella of Paramount, or, you know, just become an official thing that we see on TV proper, or even, you know, a properly funded web series ongoing or whatever. I feel like the hardcore Trek fans are going to be scared about saying, this is a bit shit. I want more Star Trek on my TV, but not so much that I won't publish a video saying this Star Trek Renegades thing is kind of not fantastic. Worth watching, just for the sake of the spectacle. I would encourage you to go out and see it and buy it and find a friend who had it, or you know, when it releases properly on, I don't know whether they're doing a proper DVD release or it's just going to be downloadable or iTunes or you know what. I haven't really looked into how it's being distributed because I've been keeping tabs on it, hoping to come into it completely fresh when it actually did release, which is what I did. So yeah, well, it's worth owning. It's worth spending the money on. It's worth supporting, is what I'm saying. Just on the hopes that it could lead to something good. But yeah, don't delude yourself into thinking you're going to get anything more than a sort of surprisingly high budget, kind of badly written fan film with some very odd casting choices in it. Anyway, I think I've got it all out of my system now. You can see why I needed more than a few tweets to get all this off my system. I needed to turn on the camera and emote, and of course do the funny shot things I've been doing throughout this in a way of parodying the horrible job the director of photography did. And the but thanks for watching. I am Blunty. Now is the time where I'm going to ask you kindly to do the typey thing and leave a comment and do the thing with the buttons. I think that's the phrase I've settled on for asking for the thumbs up. Do the thing with the buttons. And bing, little thumb up thing to remind you there. But yeah, do the thing with the buttons. Thanks for watching. I am Blunty. I'll catch you next time. And if you have seen Star Trek Renegades, please feel absolutely free to tell me how wrong or how correct I am about my initial impressions, my reaction to, my thoughts on the various production qualities of this thing. I've been interested to see what other people think. I haven't even got on Twitter yet to see what other people think, because I wanted to come into this with just uninfluenced. I didn't want any external influence at all, which is why I stayed away from the pre-production stuff, came in clean and turned on the camera straight away. I didn't see anything else anyone has ever written about this thing. I want to know how far off base I am with my reaction. Am I being too mean? Am I being accurate? Is my opinion the consenting, the overwhelming blanket opinion? I don't know. Stop the video. It's rambling. Stop it. Can't talk. Can't stop talking. Bye. Thanks for watching. I'm Blunty. Did I do that? Do the thing with the button? I did that. I'm sure I did it. You still watching? Close up! Inexplicable poor lighting. Wait, I can do the color temperature thing. Which one is the... Oh, I'm playing with a new light. There we go. Color temperatures. There we go. What are you doing? Oh. Right in my eyes. I can't find the button to turn off the camera.